we're kind of like a white glove service. We handle everything for them.
And why do you think they take it?
Our goal is to help people first and foremost.
Sounds like you use multiple exit strategies, which is cool.
Sometimes it's just too stressful for people to deal with that. And we totally get it.
Did you guys have any hesitations when you started like buying?
Pound for pound, buying your leads, it doesn't get much better than those.
Hey guys, this is Yuri again, the head of sales with iSpeedToLead and DealSpeed. And today I'm very excited to have Garrett Norton sharing about his experience with iSpeedToLead and give you guys a couple of advice if anybody just starting with iSpeedToLead and wholesaling overall. But Garrett, nice to have you. Can you please introduce yourself or what you guys do and how it's going so far?
Yeah, thank you. My name is Garrett Norton. My company is US Realty Solutions. We're based out of southeastern Pennsylvania. I've been wholesaling for about 10 years, but really started doing it, mainly did it in my area within, 20, 30 miles radius. But for the last couple of years, we started doing it nationwide, mostly on the East Coast, but we do them, pretty much nationwide now. So we've kind of learned how to do it that way, and it's been great.
That's a great point you mentioned. So at what point and you decided that you want to expand or try different areas, and like was there any particular driver, or you just thought, hey, let's give it a shot, just see how it goes, and we go from there?
Yeah, it happened back in around 2022. I wholesale around Philadelphia area and the surrounding markets, and it was just getting so saturated. I also do have my real estate license too. I'm primarily an investor and a wholesaler, and it was just getting very saturated. There's a lot of newbie investors that were trying their hand at it, and seemed like they were just kind of inflating the market and just kind of making it tougher. So I said, maybe I'll expand out, further out in Pennsylvania. Did a deal in like the Allentown area, which is about an hour away. Then started doing deals in like Pittsburgh, and I said, look, if I can do it, Pittsburgh's about 4 or 5 hour drive from me. I said, look, if I can do it, remotely from here to Pittsburgh or Allentown, why can't I just do it anywhere else? And, by trial and error, we kind of learned how to do it all over the country. And it's been about 2 years of trial and error, but we've kind of got it down to a science now.
That's awesome. And do you have particular areas that you guys like the most? And I mean, not like I want you to reveal all the secrets, but what's your favorite areas right now?
Most of our deals are done in all over PA, Western PA, Central PA. We do a lot of deals actually in the Poconos, which is about an hour and a half away. That's like the mountains near us. But we do a lot of deals in Ohio, North Carolina. We've done deals in Indiana. We do a lot of novations. So those are the more novation friendly states. There's some states that are not as open to doing novations. They're a little tougher, especially the attorney driven states. But yeah, Pennsylvania, Ohio, North Carolina, Maryland, Connecticut's been really good for us too.
Okay, that's awesome. And you mentioned Novations, so it sounds like you use multiple exit strategies, which is cool. When did you start doing Novations? Was it always part of your toolbox, or you guys added it on the way?
Novations, we also started about 2 years ago. I was traditionally a wholesaler. I did one novation a few years ago as an agent, and I was kind of worried that the local MLS and the Realtors Association would kind of look down upon that, but it went through without a hitch. It was no problem at all. We just made sure we disclosed everything. That's my whole thing is, I'm pretty much an open book. I'd like to disclose everything, and with novations, disclosure is the key. With that being said, we kind of lean more towards novations than regular wholesaling. The leads we buy, they could be any exit strategy. Wholesaling novations or even sub 2 is a possibility.
That's awesome. And do you mind me, because I never closed deal in my life, so I'm always curious, how does this interaction typically go? Let's say you call to the homeowner, right? So you talk about the price. Your first goal is still to do wholesaling, or you go to novations strategy right away?
What we typically do, our strategy is, me being a realtor, wholesaler, novator, sub 2, we kind of have different options for everyone. And I know there's a lot of wholesaling gurus out there that kind of do the same thing. We typically do the same thing. We give them 30-day cash offer to just buy it, for us to buy it and flip it. Then we have a little bit longer term for like an novation, and then we have even our third option is to just straight up list it on the MLS for them, and the fourth option is to take over their payments and do a sub 2. But typically our sweet spot is novations, And typically that's where everyone tends to lean. That gives them the best price point, the quickest exit, and kind of the cleanest way to do it.
So do you present it right away? You just say, hey, like, hey, homeowner, like we are doing so and so. We are, experienced investors doing deals in your area, and we have those options for you. Or you kind of just say, hey, this is, we think based on our experience can bring the best results. Do you want to share us how the program look like?
It really all depends on the type of lead it is. If it's like a tired landlord, we can usually shoot right to the offer. They're usually less emotion involved. They're more about the numbers. What's your end goal with this? If it's a homeowner that lives there and they don't have a place to go yet, then it's a different conversation. It's more nurtured, drawn out. Hey, let's help you find somewhere to go. Let's not even talk about price yet. We got to find you a place. We got to figure out what your next option is, or your next, where are you going next? If it's, a vacant house inherited by someone, it's kind of a little bit of both. We want to get you the money, get it done quick, but you also have, family. You got to run this through. Might have to do a probate, or might have to go through like the courts and all that. So, and you guys, provide all those kinds of leads. So it really depends on the kind of lead and the situation.
I'm glad you mentioned this point. Like before you discuss even the price, you start looking for them the options, so they feel like you give them enough value right away and position yourself as an expert. That's actually a cool point. Do you mind, just for people that don't know, why homeowner would take Novations over maybe some other things? Because some people might say, oh, Novations is like you kind of trick people or something like that. So
Right.
how do you mind telling us like a little bit, like how do you
Yeah.
how
Sure
to
thing.
present it, and why do you think they take it?
It's a valid question. It's a good question. I wondered it myself when I first started doing this, but as you do this, you kind of realize there's some folks out there that, they just don't want to use a realtor. They don't want their neighbors to know. They don't want their friends to know. They're, either they're embarrassed about the house, or they just want to get it sold to a cash buyer. And what happens is throughout the process, we offer to market it to our investor buyers first for the first week or two. And what usually happens is, we put it out there and the numbers just don't match up. The numbers that they want or what we need don't match up with what an investor is going to pay with a cash offer without, seeing it or stuff like that. So organically, it kind of moves into, okay, look, you're going to get your best offer if we get this thing on the MLS. And what we do differently than them just putting it up with a realtor is we're kind of like a white glove service. We handle everything for them. So we'll usually sign like an attorney in fact that gives us the right to sign their listing docs, their agreement of sale docs, negotiate on their behalf. Sometimes it's just too stressful for people to deal with that. And we totally get it. So we kind of act as like, what a realtor would do, but we go above and beyond and we help them and we alleviate all that stress. We basically say, hey, look, all you need to do is, just let the people through for the viewings. We'll handle everything else. This is the bottom line number you should be getting when we're all done. You don't have to worry about negotiating or anything like that. Also repairs, stuff like that. Like a lot of times in our properties, there's repairs that need to be done, whether the lender requires it or, the people buying it just want them done. We will either handle the credits or the repairs. We handle the realtor's commissions. They don't pay any of that. So stuff like that is why a Novation might be the option over just using a realtor for some of these people.
That's very good information. And what's the best way to reach out to you if anybody wants to get your advice or maybe partner with you for some GV deals? Are you guys helping out other investors, so it's still not a part of?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I JV with other investors and with other buyers and sellers all the time. Our website is www.usrealtysolutions.com. They can just go on our website and fill out the form. You can click on the link, or they can shoot me a text or an email. I can provide my number or whatever have you, and they can look at us we have a Facebook page. They can reach out to us on there too.
Sounds good. So guys, if you need more advice, reach out to Garrett. He knows how to close deals. Doing Novations in multiple states, it's really big thing. So I hope everybody appreciates some of the things that you already shared. Going back to the most interesting thing to me, how did you find out about iSpeedToLead? What was the story? How did you guys get leads before? And how did you find iSpeedToLead?
I think I originally found out about you guys through social media. It was either Instagram or a YouTube promotion or something like that. I called up, checked you guys out. It worked out from the beginning. The way we used to get leads before is we did a lot of skip tracing and text blasting. We did some Google ads. We did some other pay per lead, sites and companies. But I'll be honest with you, I've used a bunch of them, and iSpeed's been the best by far.
What do you think differentiated iSpeedToLead for you over other paper leads?
I think just the broad range of leads you guys had, the amount of leads that are available, and you can pick the specific places that you want to look at. Like some other lead sources, you just get what comes in and you don't really have a say what town it is, what state it is, what area it is. It just comes in, and you pay a premium for the ones that are closer to you. But with iSpeed, I can go on there and say, oh, this one's right in my neighborhood. I'm going to go buy that one right now. Or this one's in a great area in the Poconos that we buy a lot. Price is right. I'm going to go buy that one right now. It's just the ability to filter out what I want to look for, to kind of hone in on what we look for. And you guys do have other options as far as viewing some more of the details. You can look into some more of the information that you guys provide about the leads itself. And I'll be honest with you, some of these other lead sources that we use, you call them up, you call the people up, or you text them, and these people don't even know that they filled something out, or they're like, why? I'm not selling my house. I just wanted to see what the value was. I'll be honest with you. Every time I get a hold, 9 out of 10 times when I get a hold of someone of your leads, they know what they signed up for, and they're open to talk.
That's great. And is there any particular information you typically look for? Because, since you're wider, that's what I typically suggest to people too. Like just say, hey, not all leads are equal. We want to kind of sell all of them, but not all leads are equal. And that's the biggest advantage of iSpeedToLead. You can just,
Sure.
target whatever you think works best for you. So is there any particular things you're looking for?
You guys do a great job of putting in certain information points that we look for. I typically look for how many cash buyers are in that area. You guys provide that. How many people are in that county? If there's less than 5,000 people, in that area, I may stay away. It's a little, kind of rural. Some of those leads will be great for other people. For us, they're just not, as ideal. I look at, how long you guys provide, how long they've been on your site, how many days they've been on there. There's kind of a sweet spot of days on your site. Sometimes we take them right away. Sometimes we like to wait until they're, aged a little bit. There's other information like how much the average price point is. Like typically if the lead you guys provide, what the typical price range for that lead is. If it's over $1 million, we may stay away from it because those are a little tougher for us. We typically stay, around a certain price point. Even if I see something that's like $500,000 or $600,000, we typically don't buy it. But if it's in a certain area, then I could say, that'll be perfect for maybe I could list that, or maybe I could, it would be a high-end listing, or it would be, great for one of our, high-end buyers. You guys provide a lot of information points that most other sites and lead sources do not.
That's great. And you talked about age leads, so we're going to talk about this. You guys are part of the coupon club.
Yes.
So let's talk about it. A coupon club gives you great discounts, so we know that. And let me ask you that. Did you guys have any hesitations when you started buying, or those are non-exclusive leads? Maybe a couple of people talked to them. Did you have such thoughts? And if not, why not? What was the thought process about that? Of course, lower price is great, but what was the other thinking there?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some great opportunities. It all depends on the lead. Some leads are better exclusive. Like if we get a hot lead right in our area that fits all the, our buy box, our criteria, we'll buy it right away. But if there's, other leads out there that don't quite fit our box, but there's leads that we do, tend to work with, we try to hit them, as soon as they show up on the, the sales leads. Even ones that are, a few days old, maybe even a week old, we have no hesitation buying them because, you just never know how many times they've been hit, and you never know if they've gotten to the right person. Newer leads are obviously the best. The newest exclusive leads, bang for your buck, are even great. But the older leads and the coupon club leads, they're pretty darn good too. As far as, pound for pound, buying your leads, it doesn't get much better than those. So, the exclusive leads are, they're money. You get them right away. You pay a little bit more, but you're going to get a much better quality lead. But even the coupon club leads, a little bit older, there's some gold in those. There's a lot of gold in those.
That's great. And so the lead, you mentioned you like some leads to get a little bit aged. Is there a particular lead or scenario for that? Because I know typically people want to jump, be faster, which I'm not sure if it really makes sense. But what's your mindset on that?
I mean, you guys also do a great job of putting on there when they're intending to sell. So if like sometimes I'll filter it by, they want to sell ASAP right now or they want to sell in 3-4 months. If it's one of those where they want to sell, a few months down the road, I typically may wait and see and pick them up a little later because sometimes like when people call them and they're not ready to do anything for a few months, me personally, this is just my strategy is I kind of like to let them weed out the guys that need to buy right now and weed those out, let them sit a little bit. And if they're still interested in talking, a few days later after they've been on, have aged a few days, if they're still interested in talking, then we might be a better fit for them because we don't rush people, some and most wholesalers don't rush people, but sometimes it's like get the offer in, if they don't do it, move on. We're really not like that. We're more like, a nurturing, follow-up type of investor. So sometimes those folks that aren't ready to sell quite yet, they're better as far as we're concerned as aged leads.
That actually makes a perfect sense. And even I think I was talking to somebody and I was mentioning, hey, if the homeowner wanted 300,000 and 5 people told him it's 250, maybe if you're nice enough and you're the 6th person calling, maybe you're the one who's getting this 250 done.
That's exactly right. That's the same mindset we have.
Okay, so I think that would be my strategy too. No, I appreciate that. Let's talk a little bit more about numbers. So how many contracts did you guys close with us? Average assignment fees? What the biggest deal? Like, tell us more about that.
We're a smaller shop. We just started doing this full time this past year. But we had a great year as far as I'm concerned. Deals in total, we closed about 20 deals total this year. We're only like a 4-person shop. We started out with just 2 of us. And we brought on an acquisition person and another dispo person, halfway through the year. But we closed about 20 deals. We probably buy 70 or 80 leads from you guys a month. Our typical fees, it's around 15,000 average. Right now I think we have about 20 other deals with you guys that we've contracted. I think we have about 8 under contract to end buyer that'll be closing in December and January. And I think we have about 10 or 15 that we've contracted that are either on the market or out on the investor lists and out to our cash buyer investors. And we have about 3 or 4 that we just contracted that we're, just processing right now. So, I mean, you guys have provided us, you're our main lead source. We used to do, like I said, we used to do text blasting. And I don't think we have any deals left from our text blasting. I think it's mainly from, iSpeedToLead and maybe one other lead source. We have maybe a contract or 2, but you guys you're our main source and you guys have been great to us.
And we appreciate it being our clients. So that's great. I was checking, like maybe, I'm not sure if you guys how many accounts have, but I think you guys spent total like 8,000 with us. So, yeah. And like 20 deals on 8,000. That's crazy good, actually.
Oh, the return on investment from you guys has been better than I could imagine. And, we're planning on spending a lot more with you guys and ramping this up, getting another acquisitions person, getting another VA or 2 to help handle, when we have 10 or 15 deals on our contract at one time. That's the only thing that really slows us down is, if you get that, if you get to a point where you have so many deals on our contract to end buyer, you only have so much bandwidth to get them processed and get the deal done. So the return on investment though has been phenomenal with iSpeed.
So what's the biggest deal you closed with us and where it is?
I think the biggest deal we closed, we had 2 that were over $38,000. The one was $40,000. That was in Lansdale, PA. That's only 20 minutes from me. But ironically, that was one of those, I think that was an exclusive deal that I just couldn't pass up and I just jumped on it. And then we had another deal in South Carolina, which is, it's a little bit tougher to do novations, but we worked around it. We made about 36,000 on that one. Those are probably the 2 biggest deals that we closed this year. Like I said, our average is around 15,000. Some deals we close, they're 4,000 or 5,000, when there's just not much room or there's stuff on title that comes up that the seller never tells you about until you pull title. And, we try to squeeze, 4 or 5 grand out of those if we can. But yeah, if we can make 40, 50,000, that's a home run for us. That's a grand slam.
And that's awesome. And it doesn't sound like you're trying to take like every penny from the deal. Is that fair to say? Because I would typically hear people bragging more about their Novation deals. So you're kind of more like homeowner friendly, I would say. Is that fair to say, or?
Yes, I would say very fair. Typically we, I think we're able to get more contracts because we're typically willing to, give these folks a little bit more of what they're asking for. We're not trying to, hit anyone over the head. I totally understand there's people out there making an average of 30, 40,000 in fees, and God bless them. Listen, if we could do that, and if we had the bandwidth and the resources to spend the kind of money to advertise, and buy, hundreds and thousands of leads a month, you can get those kind of deals. But with our budget, we're starting off, a little bit slower than usual, but I gradually will be able to spend more money. I just think it's all about what your budget is. We spend a little less, but we try to do a little bit more volume. And our goal is to help people first and foremost. I know a lot of people say that. I was a realtor first, so I had it drilled into my head, ethics and continuing education about ethics and all that. So it was tough for me originally to transition from a realtor to an investor, because I felt like I was going against all these rules and regulations. But as long as you disclose everything, and I've learned this over the past few years, as long as you disclose everything and you're above board about it, being an investor and being a wholesaler is just as ethical as some of these realtors out there. But I still do have that, I do have that realtor mentality in my background, and we have a fiduciary duty to some of these folks. And I always want to leave the transaction and the closing being able to ask these folks for a positive review. It doesn't always go the way they plan, doesn't always go the way we plan, but I always like to err on the side of, did we do good for you? Were you happy with the transaction? I'd rather someone be happy with the transaction and make a little bit less than make a little bit more and then be, want to write a horrible review about us. So that's kind of the way I look at it.
What would you say are those one thing that you disclose that maybe other people don't disclose when you talk to homeowner? What would you say is that? Is there a such thing?
I always try to disclose that if we have several different options. If you don't choose the option where we actually buy it, our straight up cash offer, I always try to disclose to the folks, listen, we are most likely not buying it, but we are going to find you a buyer. We're going to either partner up with an investor of ours, or we're going to find you an end buyer that's going to move in from the MLS. I feel like if you're upfront about that and you disclose that, sometimes it may cause us to get maybe less contracts. Some other investors or wholesalers might just say, hey, look, we're going to close on this thing in 30 or 60 days. And, they don't really disclose that they're not buying it. And then, when 60 days comes around and they're not ready to close, it can blow up pretty quick. I always try to disclose as much as I can about our process and what we're doing. I try to disclose that we are going to put it on the MLS if we can't sell it to our cash buyers. And I always disclose that we're going to be putting it on multiple venues to try and help sell this property. We're going to do everything we can to get them the best number. I like to be transparent. I feel like I can sleep at night a little better. I feel like folks are a little bit more happy, and communication is key too.
That's awesome. And last two questions I have. So how was your interaction with our support team? Do you guys get a lot of refunds, or you just work on volume? How is that going so far?
Yeah, the support team's great. Whenever I have any kind of issue with a lead, every lead companies have, where there's just, someone puts some bad and, misinformation in or something like that. You guys are always very fair about giving the refunds. If I ever have any issues with, any kind of leads or any kind of information, you guys are always really quick to respond. It seems like you have a really good support staff. There's really not that many leads where, we request refunds, but being that, you guys have such a high volume of leads, there's always going to be that instance where there's just some kind of information that wasn't put in right or something like that. Usually it's on the seller side, honestly. But I feel like the support has been more than adequate.
Great. And last question that I always ask everybody: what are the top 3 advice you give to new wholesalers? Like anybody who is watching, connected to iSpeedToLead or not. What's the top 3 advice you would give?
I would say, do your homework, watch as many videos as you can from, some of the, there's some of the gurus out there that everyone knows. I would say do your homework as much as you can. I would say definitely set your expectations that this is not get rich quick overnight. I know a lot of people say that, but some folks just, it doesn't, if they haven't closed the deal in 3 months, they quit. Listen, if you get a property on the market, you're lucky if you close it in 3 months, especially with novations. Once you get that contract, our typical, time frame is, 60 to 75 days. There's a lot of wholesalers out there that aren't quite doing the novations. They're doing more of the, just straight up cash sales. Those guys are selling their houses, but even them, it's taken a month because you got to contract it. You got to order title, which could take 2 weeks alone in some states. And then, you got your 2 days to get 2 weeks, maybe to get your funding and stuff like that. So, don't expect to close deals in the first 30 days unless you're pretty lucky. You got to be patient with it, and you got to work hard. One of my mentors always said, most people act like the phone is he called it the 1,000-pound phone. Most people just can't pick up the phone. Whether you're doing text blasting, emails or mailers, when it comes down to it, you got to pick up that phone. It's not 1,000 pounds. You can pick it up very easily and call, and you got to make the calls. Even if you're calling someone 5 times a day, when you have a good lead and they're motivated, sometimes you got to be persistent and you got to pick up that phone and call. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give. Or if you're not going to do it, have people working under you that will do it. Like if you're not one to make the calls and you just know it and you're just not that person, you'd rather text or you'd rather, email, you got to find someone who's willing to make the calls and, pay them what you can because it's worth it.
That's a very important note, and thank you for sharing that. And just last thing, because it's running a little bit hot thing right now, and you do multiple states. Like the people that just start, would you recommend that this is a good idea to be a little bit wider but more selective with the leads, or you think it's better to go after your own market, or it's just depending on the market? And the second, follow-up question, do you typically change your strategy, how you call on leads, depending on the area you call?
If you're just starting out and you're looking to do multiple states or multiple areas, it's really just trial and error. You got to try out different leads. You can start by, going maybe an hour away, or then maybe going a few hours away from where you are, staying in your state, and then maybe go to the next state over and, slowly expand out. The other thing too, which a lot of people don't mention, we're on the East Coast. We typically don't buy a ton of leads in like California or Washington or Oregon or something like that. We didn't realize this until later, but sometimes the time zone can affect you a little bit. We'll pick up the phone, we'll call a title company at 9 a.m. our time, and they're not even up yet. Or we'll call the owners by accident, and they can get a little ticked off if you're calling them at 5 a.m. by accident. Or the other way around is, you don't want to be working at 10, 11 at night when it's, 8 o'clock their time. So you want to be cognizant of that, the time difference. Yeah, as far as just approaching the call differently from different states and all that, it's just something you learn as you do it. Different states, that's the other thing is, we realized in Connecticut, you have to have your own lawyer when you close. It's an attorney state. And in most states, you can use the buyer's attorney to close. But in Connecticut, you actually can't use the buyer's attorney. You as the seller or as the wholesaler have to use your own attorney. So it's stuff like that we picked up. Different states, have different rules. Some, Pennsylvania is not an attorney state. So, you can use different title companies. We typically like to use investor-friendly title companies because some of these other title companies, they're not familiar with novations or wholesaling. They'll pick up things we say as red flags. When they're not red flags, they're just not used to the way we do stuff. There's so many different things that I could name, but those are certain nuances you want to pick up. Every state's different. Every county's MLS is different. So even stuff like that we're learning is, it's just trial and error. You just got to go do it and try it out and learn on the job.
Great. And you have a list of cash buyers, or how do you guys find cash buyers?
Yeah, we have a list of cash buyers. Our list isn't as big as we'd like, but deal speed, that's a whole nother conversation, but that could be a huge source for cash buyers for us as well.
And thank you for sharing. I know it was a little bit longer, but thank you for joining this call, Garrett. Guys, whoever wants to get some advice from Garrett, maybe GV or partner, Novations are big. I know a lot of you guys didn't do that. Garrett definitely has some approach that is liked by homeowners. Sounds like 20 deals this year, just with iSpeedToLead, I think is awesome too. But it's nice to have you. And thank you for being our client, and let's keep in touch.
Definitely. Thank you guys, for everything that you guys do, and keep up the good work. And I appreciate all your help.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.